Episode 51 of This and That and What a Fuck, and in this one I will focus a bit on the biolabs and again energy in the EU. I just want to clarify something. One of the commentators on episode 50 was a little bit upset about my attitude towards the vegans. I need to clarify my position. I don't give a damn whether you're a vegan or a gay or a lesbian or whatever you want to be. That is your right. You make your decisions and you make your choices. And that is what it is. Your decisions, your choices. And I respect that. But don't come and try and enforce your view onto me. You may be happy to be a vegan. I am not. I'm a meat eater. And I like milk and I like cheese and I like eggs and I like grilled chicken and I like things like that. Respect that. That's all I'm asking. Don't you guys go and arrange a political pressure group and then try to implement the rules and laws to force me to follow your diet. That is what it is. It's your diet, your choice. And on that happy note, let's continue. The first thing we have is on the biolabs. 30 biolabs in Ukraine, and who are they tied to? Now that is a major question. Who are they tied to? And I've listened to a few podcasts, and it is quite obvious that all over this show, the real ownership of these labs are disguised and hidden behind blank stares, basically. If you look at this one, you can read through the whole thing and then you will see some disturbing stuff in there. There were experiments done on making bio items that are, you can say, race specific. Why would they do something like that? And then there's this story around the security in these biolabs. Last December, poor record keeping at the lab was blamed after 9 classified computer floppy disks and a large capacity storage disk were found to be missing during a routine inventory of classified electronic storage in the facility. Another incident occurred in June 2000 when computer disks containing classified nuclear information were found to be missing from one of the lab's most secure vaults. They were later found behind a photocopier inside the facility. Look at that. And these guys are working with dangerous stuff. But it seems to me that the controls is not there. And there's this heading, Los Alamos lab again missing computer disks with classified data. 2 disks are missing from the weapons physics division inside the lab. Weapons inside the biolab. Sounds scaly to me. And then there's this, for at least the 3rd time since 2000, 2 removable computer disks containing classified nuclear weapons data are missing from the Los Alamos National Laboratory in New Mexico. In an announcement last Friday, the lab confirmed that 2 items of classified removable electronic media were discovered missing from the Weapons Physics Directorate inside the lab on July 7 during a special inventory being done. Yeah, what can you say? Security. They're working with serious, dangerous shit there, but it seems like the security are up in the air. And then there was this one. Ukraine conflict, secrets of the biological laboratory in Rubezhnoye. Learned from local resident sources that experiments were conducted on people in the city of Rubezhnoye in the building of the Farm Biotest Company. What I saw and heard shocked me. Local residents came to this building who were injected with unknown drugs for monetary reward. The amount of financial remuneration depended on the degree of danger of the injected substance. After the injection, the patients were monitored by doctors from a special room. In fact, people were used as experimental animals. Often the drugs were tested in an accelerated mode without complying with the relevant rules and regulations. As per the video, the work in the laboratory was carried out on a large scale, but the most curious thing is that documentation is scattered everywhere, confirming the involvement of American colleagues in these experiments. Unfortunately, in a number of cases, trials ended with the death of patients. Guys, I'm saying it again. There is dark and devious things happening in Ukraine. And I am still stunned. Why the hell is the West pumping in so much money there? What the fuck are they trying to keep a secret? And then we're in the energy. And this may as well have been a what the fuck, because this joker. Zelensky announces Ukraine ready to increase energy exports to the EU to make up for lost Russian energy exports to Europe as a result of the anti-Russian sanctions, as long as Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant remains connected to the Ukraine energy system. You see, this guy, he suffers from the after effects of that white dust. He must go slow on that stuff. Now he wants to export energy. But if 2 weeks ago or so I did use the item in a Skidmark or a Briekmerke, I can't remember, where they were using the Lend-Lease program from America to buy energy for Ukraine. Now he wants to export. Nord Stream has been suspended indefinitely, Gazprom has announced. Malfunctions were detected on the last remaining turbine, and Rostekhnadzor issued a warning to the company. Gazprom sent a letter to Siemens about the need to repair the turbine. And, of course, the Russians will be blamed that they're weaponizing it and all that type of nonsense. But it took them weeks and weeks to get that first one serviced in Canada and returned, and it hasn't been returned yet. And now I've read that there's 5 more. But Siemens is not playing their part in it, and they will blame the Russians. The European Commission considers the decision not to resume the work on Nord Stream due to malfunctions, cynicism and confirmation of the unreliability of Russia as a supplier. This was stated by the head of the press service of the European Commission. But what about the promises to comply, to completely abandon Russian gas? Now is your time. And I agree with that. The fact of the matter is, for decades, the European economy was booming on cheap, reliable Russian gas. Then the EC started with their sanctions shit, and now all of a sudden they say Russia is unreliable. There was this comment on Twitter. So Russian Gazprom is turning the gas off to Europe indefinitely. Our leaders are the most short-sighted idiots to have ever existed, underestimating Putin, plus thinking he's stupid, or they have planned this for more control over us, taking actual wealth, i.e. land and property. And that is the reality, and that is the truth. And once again, I listened to a podcast last night, and it was amazing. The guy put his finger 100% on the mechanisms that were applied in Europe. All the levers are pulled in Washington, and the goal and aim was to destroy the European industries and destroy the European economy, because Europe is too much of a competitor for America, and the Americans cannot allow that. Europeans had better wake up. It's time for serving divorce papers on Washington. And then there's this from Pumlani Majosi. Was your toothbrush supplied by government? Was your car supplied by government? Your house? Your TV? What about your clothes? Were they supplied by government? Your wine? If not, then why should electricity be supplied by government? No, the government must stay out of this. And this is a South African thing, and it's in response with a resistance to the privatization of Eskom. The German chemical industry lost 10% due to the energy crisis. The head of the Chemical Industry Association, Wolfgang Grosse-Entrup, called the situation dramatic. At the same time, according to his assessment, the lowest point has not yet been reached. Yippee! And they're working on sanction package number 8. Good luck. And then we've got this from Ursula von der Crazy. At EU level, we diversify sources, save energy and store it. Our gas storage is already filled at 80%. But to cut our dependence on Russian fossil fuels, we need renewables. The commitments taken today would already deliver 1/3 of our 2030 target for offshore wind in the EU. 1/3 by 2030. And what about the other 2/3? This woman will be personally responsible for destroying the European economy and the European society. This woman is dangerous. Europeans better wake up, and they must look carefully. All of their plans focuses on one thing. You will own nothing and you will be happy. You will freeze and you will be happy. You will be hungry and you will be happy. Guys, if the people in the EU does not wake up and get rid of this political elite, you are in for a hell of a ride. Then we come to this, and it's almost, could also have been a what the fuck. The Polish authorities are ready to organize coal supplies through Belarus. Coal could be unloaded and transported by wagons through Belarus. The Belarusian side agrees to this. This is the most convenient solution. There are most sorting devices on the eastern border since coal came from Russia. Yes, logistics is completely undemocratic, but it's warmer. And this is from the same country that are always instigating the EC to place more sanctions on Russia. And now they want to import coal from Belarus. And why? Why do they want to do that? Belarus is part of the sanctions packages against Russia. But they don't care about that now. They want coal. And another thing is, there was an article that I handled in one of my Skidmarks. It would take Poland something like 500 days to offload the coal that they need if it should come in by ship. 500 days. And then there's this little bit of disturbing information. Europe's energy Armageddon from Berlin and Brussels, not Moscow. On August 22, the exchange-traded market price for natural gas in the German gas hub was trading more than 1,000% higher than a year ago. Most citizens are told by Schulz's regime that the reason is Putin and Russia's war in Ukraine. The truth is quite otherwise. EU politicians and major financial interests are using Russia to cover what is a made in Germany and Brussels energy crisis. The consequences are not accidental. And there is truth. And then there's this little picture, and I've got a lot to say about this. President Trump warned Europeans and especially the Germans about the importance of being electrically self-provided. They all mocked him. The smart ones are now realizing he was a step ahead. The not so fortunate will be blaming global warming for their cold asses. Wait and see. Now, I have to talk about this again. That statement from Trump was a damn idiotic statement from a warmonger. If Europe was living in peace with their neighbor Russia, there would be no problem, because that is how countries grow. When you run out of resources for your growth, you import it from somewhere. The fact is, the European Union does not have in-house enough energy, so they have to import energy. But that warmongering Americans don't want you to have a good relationship with Russia. They don't want you to build a strong economy on resources from Russia. And they instigated you to pull this sanctions shit on Russia, and in the process killing your own economies and destroying your own societies. That was a damn stupid statement, but I think we have to be careful in analyzing that statement more. The fact is that the EU, with that green shit that they were following, were closing down their own power stations, especially the nuclear power stations, and now they've got a problem. This renewable thing is not sustainable and it cannot supply in the demand. But let the EU cabal sitting in Brussels carry on destroying your lives, you are allowing them to do it. And now we get to Estonia. 28 Estonian companies are asking to be released from anti-Russian sanctions. They want to continue importing petroleum products from Russia. I cannot understand these Baltics. Their morning and evening talks does not gel. They are the big promoters of all sorts of fucking sanctions against Russia. But now they want to be exempted from the energy sanctions. Absolute craziness. Bloomberg learned about Moscow's plan to buy $70 billion in friendly currencies. After freezing reserves in euros and dollars, Russia is moving to the accumulation of a financial cushion in currency of friendly countries. The main role in it will be played by the yuan, the agency writes. And then there's a lot of information on that. I'm not going to read it all, I'm going to show it to you. You can pause the video and read through it if you want to. In this one, Russia is considering buying $70 billion this year in yuan and other friendly currencies to slow the growth of the ruble. And that is something that I have heard and read a lot, that the Russian central bank is having its hands full to keep the ruble price in the range of the 60s. But they are struggling because that ruble is just too strong. And then there is this one. The frozen $300 billion did not help Russia. On the contrary, they have become a vulnerability and a symbol of missed opportunities. Yeah, that stealing of the Russian foreign reserves was not a clever plan. At the same time, the materials note that the purchase of currencies of even friendly countries is problematic. Thus, the sale of assets in yuan requires a separate agreement with China, which will be very difficult to achieve. Yeah, these guys are always trying to find the reasons why Russia will not succeed in its ventures. Reserves of $180 billion could be accumulated in yuan, writes Bloomberg. They are proposed to be spent over the next 3 to 5 years to help cover the cost of import substitution of foreign technologies and reorient transport infrastructure towards Asia. And then there's this in the Wall Street Journal. Western officials are trying to strike a balance between limiting Russian revenue and maintaining incentives for Russia to sell oil. According to the publication, disagreement remains within the G7 over how many countries should agree on a price ceiling for oil from a Russian Federation. According to experts, Russia is already selling oil for $20 less than the world prices. October futures for Brent oil traded yesterday at 96.65 per barrel. The US Treasury Department believes that oil could rise to a price to about $140 per barrel. Now, that is that crazy idea of putting a price cap on Russian oil. But the fact of the matter is, the big buyers and the big players are not into that. And it just, once again, confirms that the American warmongers sitting there in the shithouse in Washington, they think that they can dictate to the world what to sell, who to sell it to, and at what price. They must get off that. That time is over. The G7 countries plan to introduce a price ceiling for Russian oil by December. US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the significant progress has been made on this issue, but did not provide details, according to Bloomberg. India is hesitant to support the price limit for oil from Russian Federation without the consensus of other countries. In recent months, it has tripled the import of Russian oil products. Russia also remains the largest supplier of oil to China for the third month. The fact of the matter is, the Russians don't have to sell their oil at a price that the G7 stipulates. The countries that want the Russian oil will pay the price that Russia wants. And then we get to that what the fuck moment, and I think it's very appropriate in this environment where these idiots are making these stupid decisions around energy and all of that. It's all bullshit. And look at that. She's gonna be pissed when she finds out I cannot draw. And I'm telling you now, that blonde on the couch, that is the European citizens. And this fucking artist is Ursula van der Crazy. And on that note, please like, subscribe, share, and thank you for your support.